it's just kind of like,
Right. Hello. Well, I think this is it.
it is.
Well, I'll call the Manistee Harbor Commission meeting of 19 July 2022 to order. And let's welcome our newest member, Mary Lou Mydell?
My dill,
Mydell.
like a pickle.
My dill pickle. Gotcha. I'm glad you joined us. Has everyone seen the agenda?
Yes,
If so, I would move that it be approved.
I would,
I would,
Did you make the motion?
yeah,
Okay.
Okay.
I would second it then.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
We don't have any public here to comment on the agenda items, correct? Does anyone need more time to review the minutes from the 28th? I would move that they be approved except for harbor dredging, where it says beach nourishment. I think you mean dredged material. That's a little too much of a flourish.
Let me see. That's actually a technical term.
I believe you.
It is.
Well, it's dredged material.
Well, the location of the dredge material is to
Nourished.
nourish the beach.
I understand. All right, let's let the minutes slide as they stand.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Under unfinished business, the marina marketing plan. Had you met Mark Sandstedt?
have I? No.
Meetings ago, no.
Hi, nice to meet you. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, again, I'm Mark Sandstedt from MS Creative. I did have a chance to get with Jeff, I believe, last week and just kind of spitball some different avenues. The marketing world is defined by the budgets we have to put at things, so that's why there's some TBDs, because I can't come with a plan if I don't know what the means of executing that plan are. And being in the mid-budget year, that may take some planning to get in place. As Jeff and I talked, the marina is really starting from ground zero. It's like a brand new facility for all intents and purposes. There hasn't been a lot of marketing done over the years, so if you look at it in that perspective, there's kind of a deferred need there. Going by there last weekend and seeing, maybe a half dozen slips occupied, more than anecdotally, we have nowhere to go but up. So I just am presenting a very simple one-page proposal. We would engage in a 3 to 5 year plan. Marketing is a marathon, not a sprint. We would work closely with the Harbor Commission, the Harbor Master, and the Marina Manager to initially target transient boaters, but also explore other opportunities such as attracting locals for seasonal, also using the marina building as an event venue, just as another way to generate. And then again, down the road, we can expand to other regions as budgets and strategies allow. So the scope of my proposal, and really the most pressing thing initially, is to acquire professional video and photography. You have no assets right now on hand that emulate the actual facility. All the docks are new, everything looks great. We've got about a 6-week window to get that video. Otherwise, in January, you have nothing to create an ad with. So the scope of that work, again, is varied on how much we want to get from basic B-roll and, action shots of things happening in the marina to where we actually interview either boaters, harbor master, manager, local business people, create a story, if you will, around that arena. So when people come to Manistee, kind of like what Jeff and I talked about, we want to get them here, we want to get them to stay. As we spoke the last time I was here, as we just kind of talked about some things, Manistee isn't on the way to anywhere. A couple weeks ago, I was in Frankfurt for the weekend, and I was sitting down at the beach, and all the big boats that left Frankfurt, you could tell they were heading out. They were on a course to get out around Point Sable and go to Ludington or Pentwater or wherever their next stop was. So, but the video and photo assets are pretty important if you want to do any kind of marketing next year. It's just that simple. What I then do when I engage with a new customer is we do a SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. We would do that as a group. Put those things on the wall, and then let me come up with a report so that we can identify what are our strengths, what are our weaknesses, where are the opportunities, and how to diminish the threats. It's probably an exercise you've all been through a dozen times before, but it gives everybody kind of a baseline and an agreement on where we want to kind of aim our efforts at. Again, a 3 to 5 year marketing plan, and then I would be here, to provide ongoing consulting support, creative services, whatever it is that you would need. So I've got some associated costs there. To do the SWOT analysis and create the plan is pretty straightforward. It's just an element of my time. And then through that process, we would develop what a budget would be. So there's a lot of different ways that we can execute marketing. And I didn't put those in this proposal because right now it's kind of hypothetical until we know what we're doing. But some of the things that Jeff and I talked about is, what you call yourself the Manistee Municipal Marina. And the good news is if you type Manistee Marina into Google, the Manistee Municipal Marina page is the top of that list. So that's not something we have to fix. Oftentimes that's not the case. So you might have to have a landing page or something that's a little bit more Google friendly. But by virtue of being called the Manistee Marina, Google just kind of puts you at the top. So that's good news. We don't have to spend any time and money remedying that, which can take some time to do. Recognizing customer service, I know you're working on that. That's your brand. And if we get somebody here and they love everything about the town other than the crabby person that put boat, and I'm not saying it, I'm just saying in the general context. But those are things that we talked about before that they don't cost you anything. It doesn't cost anything to give good customer service. It's just it's a mindset and it's a mentality of your staff. And every year you got to kind of start over. But you've been in the marina business. It's really the hospitality business, and I think that mindset is really important from the top down. Looking at grassroots partnerships for Canos, Downtown Delights, maybe some other retailers, maybe some other entities where there's ways to cross-promote directly to the marina customers. I don't know what that is, but I think there's opportunities that could be explored. Again, we have a plan. We have the winter to work on things with our partners. But I think especially entities within walking distance, like Jeff and I talked about. If people come in on a boat, they might have a bike with them. More than likely, they're going to be attracted to places they can walk to. So really kind of telling the story of all this to do. We've got the library, the Ramsdale, the Vogue, all these things that people can go to within walking distance. And again, gives them a reason to stay here maybe another night or two, which is what we want. Looking at a way to capture data, and I don't know if you've done any of that this year, but one of the thoughts and one of the things Jeff and I talked about is when we get somebody here, the only question the only dumb question is the question we don't ask. So where did you come from? What's your home port? Where did you come from prior to this port? What's your next port? It's all data that is 100% empirical to our target market. We got them here. Why did they come here? And my thought was to create just like a survey monkey, and it just would be, there could be 5 or 6 basic questions, and you don't have to ask everybody, but you can't do it randomly. If you do it randomly, the information really isn't that great, but if you could get a majority of the people to give you that basic information, and then at the end of the year compile that would be invaluable to making decisions, further down the road. Because a part of this is looking at how do we target these people, because they're spread all over. But we know what they have in common is that they're leaving from a marina somewhere. If they're coming in a boat, they are leaving in a marina. So what we would do, again, depending on the available budgets that we would have to do it, we would initially target marinas on the eastern shore of Lake Michigan. And what we do is called geofencing. So we can actually take the physical address of that arena or marina, and anyone that goes online there can be served an ad for our facility, a digital ad. So if they're poking around and they're online at that marina facility, anywhere they go on a website that serves ads, we have the ability to serve them a digital ad. And again, that's a program that we put in place. We would create the digital ads that would be attractive. We'd have the photography and the branding and whatnot that we wanted to do. And again, the scope of that is delineated by budgets. Are you going to be in 5 marinas, 10 marinas, or 50 marinas? And I think it's a great starting point because as you expand, you could just expand, you could expand to the western shore of the lake. You'll get the Wisconsin, the Chicago people. You could get the people from Lake Huron. So it really would be, where do you want to put pins on the dot? And some of that empirical data that you get could maybe help us make those decisions. Boy, there's a lot of people that come out of South Haven for some reason. Well, let's make sure we put South Haven in the mix. So just connecting the dots of where those people would come from. I did put in there not to overlook that seasonal element. I think there's a lot of new people moving into Manistee with boats, and I think just reminding them that the municipal marina, and maybe there's a campaign that you run in the fall that offers some, I don't know what that special would be, but some promotional premium to get some seasonal people in there, because if nothing else, you could generate some cash to feed your marketing program. A little self-serving there, but it's true. And if you had 8 or 10 seasonals that you didn't have last year, that's a significant gain in revenue, just baseline revenue. So not to overlook that, but recognizing that the transients are who we're targeting. But it's a lot easier to target people that are already here and just remind them that we have this beautiful facility that does offer seasonal dockage. Other things are just, again, back to that experience, word of mouth. I mean, other voters going to the next marina and telling them what a great time they had in Manistee, that's the best advertising we could ever do. So just, trying to capture that as a part of the whole branding process. And then it's an ongoing thing. Again, this isn't something that we can just do and, we ran a few ads and call it good. It's something that you have to do on an ongoing basis. So looking at the timeline, if we got engaged, I would say we need to get the photos done. We've got, a narrow window to get that done. I'd like to do the SWOT analysis, potentially, if not at your next meeting, maybe at a scheduled work session around that. I don't think it would take more than an hour or so if you wanted to do it after the meeting or something, but I would like to do that sooner than later. From that, we could develop the plan. I'd probably work closely with Jeff on that as far as, putting the nuts and bolts of a plan together. Again, what do we have to work with? And maybe that is a small amount the first year and it grows the next year, whatever, but whatever that plan is, that's our roadmap, for moving forward. And then from that point, I think we would, you look at your visitors guides, you look at engaging with like the chamber, the CVB, the DDA, most of those things are going to close around the end of January to the first part of February. So you're going to want to have your ducks in a row, for example, if you want to have information in the visitor's guide, because that's going to go to print and it's going to get distributed. And I think it's really important to get connected with the visitors, the Convention and Visitors Bureau. I think that's imperative. All of those would be elements of the marketing plan itself. So I'm open to any questions, ideas, suggestions, and we can go from there.
What did that B-roll mean again?
It's just video clips. So B-roll is a shot, it might be a shot of the downtown, it might be a shot of the Ramsdale Theater, but again, none of that exists, in our purview right now. So we have nothing other than an old photo, which I don't think would represent us very well. Put a picture of the lighthouse out there, but that's not what you're selling. You're selling a beautiful facility. I envision a wide pan from the drone, from, just a beautiful shot, and we'll get it. We'll do it soft light. That's the easy part. Getting the pictures in the video is the easy part for us. Weather recording,
The toughest challenge that we're gonna have in rolling this out is gonna be the expense of it. We just started a new budget year, July 1st, and I don't even remember the line item we've got in there, but I'll have to sit down with Katie and and see what we can do.
Mhm.
And then, you know, there's never a bad time to start the conversation, but but the money or the budget is already set, and so it'll limit some of our abilities to do ads and stuff probably this fall, like Mark described, but I do think we need to start. And one of the things that, this is one of the budget that struggles to make ends meet every year. It's an enterprise fund, so it doesn't get outside sources of revenue from anywhere else. It's self-sustaining, it's carrying some debt from the building construction. It will carry some debt from the last dock replacement that we did. The majority of them were done with insurance proceeds. That didn't hurt us at all. But it's the chicken or the egg thing. You know, you're not gonna make money unless you invest in it. And so I think this is the right course to take. But we're gonna have to just be real strategic with it.
Well, and everybody is limited by budget, but I don't wanna present something as if, boy, we can do all this, or we can do anything, but it has to be within reason, and it has to fit obviously your objectives in your budget. But you do have to start somewhere, and I don't know what your options on that would be, but as you know, I'll work with you, and I just appreciate the opportunity. I think as a boat too, and I think there's just nowhere to go but up. I mean, I think the facility it's all there. Now we just got to tell the world about it, and you'll get great word of mouth. I mean, that'll be awesome. But I think to be real proactive, we've got to get our word out there a little better.
Ty, you guys, you're the longest tenured person
Don't
on the
tell me.
commission.
Reminding me how old I am again.
No, I didn't say that.
Experienced.
So, I mean, you guys have had discussions about this in years past.
We were the board was pretty active in trying to develop marketing, probably, 2 years before the COVID thing shut everything down. And it was probably, because of the COVID, it would be hard to go back there and try to figure out if we were successful to any degree. My problem, excuse me, I understand that if, just from memory, because I haven't seen the numbers for a long time, but memory tells me that without the debt load, the marina would be functioning at a profit. And that the debt load is going to disappear in a couple of years.
I will check into all this and get information for you.
So we're looking at a couple of factors that are involved here, whether or not a marketing program for the initial year or two will in fact add to the bread on our yearly report, because it's going to take a while for it to pay off. And whether then at that time it would become not insignificantly necessary, but not as necessary as it might be if the debt load problem is forgotten about. Now, the marina, I think and others within the committee have always been interested in focusing that the marina is a plus to the commercial interests in the city of Manistee. And that those commercial interests are a benefit to all of the residents, whether they have a boat or ever been on a boat, whatever, it doesn't matter. They go to dinner, they go shopping, they do any of those things. The degree that those things are supported by the marina would be more significant if we were more successful marketing the marina. So I think part of these costs somehow, and I don't have any idea how it would be done, could be or should be shared by the commercial interests in the city that are going to be benefited by our spending, or their spending, the money to do this marketing program. Because it's really of no benefit to the marina itself to operate at a profit. It may be a benefit to the city, but we don't share the money, with anybody. Basically, it's gonna go again into the general fund, I guess.
No, it would stay in the enterprise fund, and in my opinion, it would fund capital improvements, like the grounds, the walls, the sidewalks, the benches, update on the building, those types of things.
Which would, once again, be a benefit to the city as a whole. Yeah. So anyway, I'm somewhat conflicted because I don't have enough information to try to scope out how all of this would come together. I think the marketing is essential up and down both coasts and the other lake. I don't know if I don't know how the video work would enhance that to sailors who pretty well know Manistee. I mean, I don't know, I could be wrong about this. I guess that's one of the things you'd have to find out. How many folks coming to Manistee now are first-time visitors, or how many are coming back? And who would then we be marketing to if we're talking to people that 90% of them have been here before? We're gonna spend $10,000 or $12,000 to go after 10% that haven't come here, and maybe 10% of those will. So we're talking then about 1%. And
Katie, what type of information do we collect just routinely when people register and?
Addresses and phone numbers. So we have their addresses, physical addresses, but not.
Those are great. I mean,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
it
Because
doesn't really give you.
especially in a more urban area, I mean,
Right.
somebody might live in Grand Rapids, but their boat's in
Right.
Grand Haven.
We have
Well,
a
then in
seasonal
Grand
expert.
Haven, you look at, Jeff and I were talking about just the difference between, public marinas and private marinas, and, you look at a place like Grand Haven, and there's probably 20 that we could target
Right.
down there. So, I mean, the home addresses are better than nothing, but,
Yeah.
if we wanted to reach out to them via mail or email, but if we want to hit them when they're on their boat, we kind of need to know where they're coming from, but.
Yeah, we have a seasonal that lives a few blocks away, and we have a seasonal that lives in, Spring Lake.
Yeah,
I mean,
so-
so, yeah, it's just.
Everybody's different.
Everybody's different.
Do
Some-
we collect,
yeah.
do we collect their port, the port they left, the port they're headed to? Okay.
Because that would be, even moving forward, that would, even if it wasn't the specific marina, if we knew the port they were coming from, that would be another tier of information that would just be really helpful. Because right now, it's just a total guess if you think where people are coming from, unless you physically, write down, go on the back of the, on the stern and see where they're from, but.
A lot of our reservations are through the state system, so, I mean, that would be something.
Okay.
That they would have to set up on their end.
Okay.
Not mine.
So do you have the ability to see how long before their reservation they made it? Like, are they making it a month in advance? Is it
Everything.
2 days?
It's probably all over.
Daily, yeah. it's-
There's people that,
That plan and,
Yeah.
and then don't plan, or wait at weather, or
When-
cancel, and.
We've had this discussion before, but when you look at the harbors of refuge along the state of Michigan, they're very strategic actually by the state, but they're also dictated by geography, and so you've got, Pentwater, Ludington, Manistee, Arcadia, Frankfurt, then you gotta go all the way up to Leland, and so there's just natural trips that are kind of there. And I think one of the things that we should understand is, do we get skipped over?
oh, I don't think there's any question. Just by the lay of the land, we do.
Right.
And if we
I
get
agree.
skipped over, then it would be more important for us to put that word out
Right.
and try to get
I
them
think-
to make it
Yeah, and I just want to speak from
destination.
Ludington Marina, I do know you get skipped over because all of my boaters were going from Ludington to Frankfurt almost, I mean, all day long.
All day long. Those are the.
We
those
hear
are-
about Manistee here and there, but not, yeah, it was always
Well, I don't know
Ludington
how
and
far out
Frankfurt.
we are. probably, if you were going around both points, you probably gotta be 12, 14 miles out there, I bet. So you're not, you're a long ways away from Manistee when you're straight out the harbor. We don't even see those boats. We don't even see them go by.
Right.
They're out making the turn to get around Point South. So, and I would maintain that would be where you'd want to start, would be Frankfurt and Ludington, Pentwater. Those are going to be, to me, because they're already proximate, so let's get them here. And man, we never went to Manistee before, but we had a great meal at the Bluefish, and we can't wait to get back to go to the
That's
movie
what I
theater.
hear every time I meet people from out of town that are smiling, that's what they say. Oh my God, we just drove by this, on the highway or in the water.
Yeah, I know.
Well, and our highway is the same way. I've always maintained that people go through the highway, they think that's Manistee. And unless they put two and two together, that there's these drawbridges and that big river must run somewhere, look at the number of people that get down to the museum and by your house and don't even know that they're a block away from Lake Michigan and turn left because they think they've seen it all, and they're a block away from something they've never seen before.
Yeah.
So perception is reality, and I totally appreciate, and maybe this is something that we have to move into next year, but at least you're thinking about it, and if nothing else, that is a first step. But the bottom line is going to be predicated by what we can put at this. It would not be unreasonable, and I don't think out of line to suggest a $10,000 to $15,000 a year budget. Again, I'm pulling that out of the air because I don't know what your revenues are. But if you're gonna, by the time you do a couple of print ads, maybe in the visitor's guide or maybe some local stuff, and you do some geofencing and update your materials, I mean, 10 grand goes pretty quick. That's not a tremendous spend in the marketing world, but that would give you at least a baseline to start with, and if nothing else, give me a baseline to bring back a more specific approach. And make decisions. Well, we can do this, or we can do these 2 of 5 things, or whatever it is, and prioritize. And that's what that SWOT analysis helps us do. And maybe that's a good start. I noticed, and I don't know how update the strategic plan is, but the strategic plan on the website right now, I think, was through 2016. So maybe that's something to work on over the winter as a group, is getting that strategic plan updated so that all the things that have been done are factored into that, and now you're looking forward the next 5 years, and the infrastructure is all there. You've built it, now they've got to come. Uh-oh.
We're good.
So the last 2 years are an anomaly. You can't compare anything to those, I don't think. But when I look at the marina this year compared to 3, 4, 5 years ago, it's empty. And I have to wonder how much of that is fuel cost and the economy in general. But
Well, having been in Frankfurt, Ludington, and Pentwater in the last 4 weeks, it's anecdotal, but there's boats coming and going all day long.
they're busy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I was in Frankfurt 2 weekends ago, and it was just nonstop. And
I
there's,
feel like it's empty, like just being there, I'm like, it just doesn't feel right to me.
well, I went through it. I don't know
check
how
my
many.
email, there's no email, there's like nothing, I'm like, is my email working?
Right.
I don't get email.
Well, and were
from
there,
there's no.
do you have 2 seasonals? Is that what you have right
We
now?
have, 3, maybe, like, 4.
So I think I saw like 4 like big boats that were obviously traveling together, 2 big sailboats that were from North Muskegon that were traveling together, and then maybe a fishing boat. There weren't more than 9 or 10
No,
slips
it's-
occupied over this past, and it's July. I mean, if you're not occupied now, then
Right.
you're not gonna be occupied. I mean, you're just gonna take what you get, So, yeah.
I think the pictures in the video is big. I mean, you have to have that. I mean, you do it once, you don't like do it again until.
And Ty, I would say to you mentioned the people that are already coming here, that's great. That doesn't represent any growth. They're either gonna come back or they're not. We've got over that hump and there's a million reasons they may come back or not. That's great. We want the people that haven't been here. That's where your baseline is gonna grow. And again, you can't do that in 1 year. You have nothing to compare it to. Really, an ideal for me is a minimum of 3 years because it takes that long for these things to get a foothold out there. and it's a work in progress. As you get more information you put in, you put that into your decisions moving forward, and everything builds off of what once the video and pictures are in place, we don't have to do that again. We'll get enough to have, for the duration of this, we would have more than enough assets to so you don't have to incur that cost every year. But the deploying of media, buying digital impressions or print ads or whatever the scope is, then that's what we have to do.
What is our competition doing? These ports that you're mentioning that are so active at this time of the year when we're basically inactive, have they got a marketing program?
It's going to vary by port. They're going to be.
For instance, Frankfurt, does that have a marketing?
Well, Frankfurt's again, I think the lay of the land benefits them. They're a good stopping point for fuel, whatnot. It's an easy access harbor. There's no bridges, nothing to transit. You come in the harbor, bang, you're there. Are you at the municipal, or are you at Jacobson's, or where there's half a dozen marinas up there. So I think it would vary from port to port. And again, it's hard to compare any one port to the other because I truly think every port is unique into itself, especially when you get down into Grand Haven, Holland, South Haven, the proximity to the population.
Right. No,
It's an apples and oranges comparison.
I agree with that. But my question is, if these ports, the spread of the ports along the lake roughly are 30 miles apart, which falls into what the state likes for harbors of refuge, and we are one of those, well deserved. If in fact the other municipalities are not engaged in active marketing programs, then there's something else at issue here. It's not the fact that we don't have a marketing program. If they don't have marketing programs, what is it then that is the difference between the occasion of people to come to Manistee and for them to go past Manistee, go to Ludington or wherever?
So,
Yes, go ahead.
but that's part of what the SWOT analysis would do.
Okay.
That's what are our weaknesses?
Okay.
Right.
I understand.
And I would say,
But what
based on need, if you've got a 5-year waiting list for a transient dock, and you're running at 90% full, you probably don't have to do much marketing. That's not your situation. So in that case, it really doesn't matter what they're doing. It matters what you're doing, because what they're doing isn't going to have any impact on you. I think we've got to get the word out that this is a worthwhile place to come, and because it is out of the way. It's the road less taken, and it truly is. I truly believe that. I think we missed out a lot just because people are transiting the points, and if we could get 10% of those boats to come in, we'd probably be doing really well. But I think it's based on what your needs are, and maybe there is more seasonal in the short term just to generate some revenue, and over time that gets less.
Was it 3 years ago we increased the number of seasonals we could have because the demand had increased? But where did those boats go and people?
Yeah, I think it was, and I wasn't on the Harbor Commission then, but if I remember, it was because of demand, but also it was a strategic ploy to get that fixed income.
Right, agreed.
But we have 3 this year, so
Yeah.
where did they go?
Right.
People call me like, "We add us to your waiting list." I'm like, "I don't have it."
Right,
Like,
well,
I
it's
don't have a
expected,
waiting
it's
list.
expected that you would have.
Yeah,
one.
like, I
So,
don't have
That's
one. Yeah,
probably
I
an
just-
anomaly in itself. How many marinas don't have a waiting list? And most that I know of do.
Yeah.
I just talked to a buddy down in Grand Haven. He had to put $1,000 just to get on his name on the list. That's how they know if you're for real or not. If it's not worth $1,000 to wait 3 years to get a slip, then you must not be interested in it.
Right.
So that's what you have to do.
Part of what I would say is some kind of events to get people here. When I was in Chicago Park District maintained the harbors, but all we did was maintain them. We didn't do anything other than that. West Trek Marinas took over as a contractor, and then they started all these events. During the bear season, they put up a big screen TV, they gave out free hamburgers and prizes and stuff. All the boaters could come to the empty slips. They used to do the Venetian night, Sean Boys got their Venetian night. You got the hops and props, and then the crane sailing's coming up, something like that. Anything with fish boil night or something, you know? Salmon night. Not sure what it's gonna be,
Well, the synergy there, I think initially would be to tap into the events that are already happening.
Right.
Because once you go down the road of creating an event and plan for 50 people or 100 people and 4 show up, and then what do? You just have a big chunk of money sitting there that you get nothing back. I think once you have a critical mass, an event or that type of thing might be a good way to keep people coming back. But I think initially we have to take some of our marquee events, Forest Festival, Hops and Props, whatever else would fit into that realm, and maybe that becomes a part. Hey, come here for this event. You know, we got Here Come the Mummies coming, and just bring your boat and stay and go. You can walk to the show.
Yeah.
You know, that type of thing. So I think you're right, but I think there's a time and place for that. And having been involved with a million events, successful events are great, and unsuccessful events just suck the wind out of you.
This has been a challenge since I worked at the marina
In the 1900s.
in 88. Started in 88. But it was the same discussion. When I would talk with boaters in the evenings, it was the same stuff about the coastline, the indentation, the natural skip. Yeah, we can go to Frankfurt tomorrow, but we really wanted to get to Leland by this day. But the issues that the city had back then were the bathrooms were terrible. People loved the park, they loved being in the downtown, they loved the setting, hated the bathrooms. We got new bathrooms. They hated where the gas dock was, way down at the west end. We got a new gas dock. They hated the power. We got new power. I've always hated those docks. We have all new, brand new docks. So a lot of our negatives we have been redoing over years, and that's where all that excess revenue goes, is reinvesting.
Hey, it's all there. I mean,
But everybody's trying to crack the nut, and I think what I've heard for the past 10 years, because just being in the city staff meetings and in the budget workshops and stuff, is how do we get them here? How do we get them here? Of course, the weather changes things. Of course, the gas prices changes things. But people are still out there. How do we get them here?
When was that building remodeled or rebuilt out there?
No longer than that.
90s?
No, it was.
I'm just curious what it
It's
is.
gotta be about 12 years ago.
Yeah.
2012, I think it says.
It had to be before then.
Did they build it from the ground up or was?
Yeah. Deeper than the
We don't
ground.
need to hear that.
Deeper than the ground.
It's a nice building, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think the table's set for us,
Yeah,
but
right.
we need people to come and enjoy it. And there's a lot of with the high water, there were a lot of people that were displaced out of the local marinas.
well, that, and you had half your docks washed away, and
But I mean, other marinas.
Right.
There should be no reason why we don't have our seasonals filled. And this is Katie's first year. She does have a tremendous amount of background. I think she's gonna help us tremendously moving forward. And like I said, in our first year, it set up pretty well because we do had the anomaly of the COVID and all those shutdowns and stuff, and so we should be able to go up from here. But I do think some investment in marketing is gonna be essential.
Just an aside to the seasonal thing, I noticed, and I understand Jeff is reworking his seawall areas and stuff, but he's only got 3 boats in his marina,
Yeah,
and it's usually full.
yeah.
Well, in Riverside Hotel,
Yeah, so it's not,
not just the marina.
Yeah. So I think obviously, Mark, we're gonna have to have some more conversation on this. I'm gonna need to bring back and probably walk through the annual budget with the commission, and then we're gonna have to make some decisions.
And, and just, if we don't get the photos, then that automatically is just gonna push everything to next year. And, I mean, it's just that.
Yeah, and the timing is
I get it.
the next two and a half.
Right.
months or-
Right. So,
So the photos would be the starting point, because those you can save for whatever.
yeah, that we
But you wanna get them when,
Yeah. Right.
the marina's full and the grass is green and, yeah.
Sunshine.
Katie's out smiling and waving,
Yeah.
Well, like the
giving us a thumbs up.
Some tops weekend, get a bunch of pictures.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, and we would acquire the photos in more than one day. We would get, we would be there early light, we'd be there in the evenings. I'd obviously want to try to show activity, that you don't want to show, 30 empty slips. You want to show,
Fill up the slips for the.
well, whatever, and we may have to do, we may
I do
have to
too.
stage some of that, which we could certainly do if we had to. At least the part that are in the frame,
Right.
so that it looks, but you want to show the full gamut. That's the beauty of show and tell with video and good photos is, in a very short fashion, you can wow, and Manistee has a lot of wow if we just put it out there. But, that's, it's almost like we're only 12 miles out of the way, but we're a world away, that type of thing. And, I mean, it was profound because I had it in the back of my mind anticipating this meeting, and I sat there on Saturday morning drinking my coffee at Frankfurt, and one cruiser after another went out of the port, and they went out straight, and the ones that going south were, they weren't hugging the shoreline. When we go up to Frankfurt, we're in small crafts, we're hugging the shoreline. We're just going for a boat ride. These people are on tour, and I guarantee their next stop was gonna be Ludington or Pentwater, unless they were going beyond that. But it is what it is. I had a group of friends ran down to Ludington on Friday or Saturday, just because the lake was flat. So that's boating. You go when it's good and you stay when it's not.
That's why I think we got the best of all worlds. When Lake Michigan's crappy, you got the river from Manistee Lake.
Yep.
so that's one of the things that I talked about is, so if our port isn't a natural skip from the previous port, then we need to get them here and try to keep them to stay for more than a night to make it worthwhile, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so part of that, and I think this will come up in the SWOT analysis, is part of it is when you get here, this is all the things that are literally at your feet.
That becomes a part of your story, I think,
But you can,
because that distinguishes you from other places.
Right.
Anybody that goes to Frankfurt's a great place. Ludington's a great place. I mean, they're all beautiful towns, so it's hard to say, well, you like Frankfurt better than you like Pentwater. Well, I like Ludington better than I do Grand Haven. It really is just a preference.
what about, to Ty's point about, is there a cross marketing that we can do? Is there?
I think it would be difficult to get a dollar exchange because, if you look at the CVB, that they're trying to get money out of us as a customer. I mean, that's their business model. They sell memberships. Maybe you join the CVB as a member, so now you have the benefits of that. It's just, we could explore it, the DDA might be a good place to go. You look at these groups, a lot of them are in the same position where they have funds, but there's not a lot of discretionary funds. So it would have to be a fund that would be appropriate for marketing. But that's where maybe some partnerships with like a Ted Fricano or Tracy across the street at Downtown Delights, and it may or may not be a cash exchange, but if it's whatever the deal is, if it's mutually beneficial, maybe I was thinking just spitballing some stuff when I was eating my sandwich at home about, if you had people here for a day or two, give them a little, for lack of a better word, like a scavenger hunt, where, if you check off these 8 places, you get in a drawing for something. I don't know. I mean, there's just a lot of creative ways that I think we could brainstorm to add value to their visit.
Couple of things, and I'm not sure how it worked out, but once again, it was before COVID, but we tried a program where at the dock, if you had 2 nights, you get the 3rd night free. I don't know how successful that was. We never really did.
See, and that's something that wouldn't really cost you anything, and there's a value proposition, and it leads into the strategy of, yeah, we don't mind the 1 night and gone people, but we really want to get people here for 2 or 3 nights, and that plays in, I think, to your bigger strategy. Because the people that are here for one night are probably just gonna take another hour and run to Frankfurt, you know, and be that much, you know, further ahead. So I like that idea, because it's a value.
I don't know what happened to it because I don't think we ever went back to study the results of that. And what's her name?
Laura?
Laura kind of took it upon herself to run that, so I'm not sure how it worked out.
And maybe that's a campaign that you run, say through the 1st of June as a way to stimulate people to book their trips. You know, you run that April, May, and June where, you know, come for 2 nights, get your 3rd night free. Now you got them here for 3 nights. Well,
I have one other comment, then I'll shut up. There was a period here where the marina people, the board and the city, were very apprehensive about our marina hurting other marinas in the city. And the marketing was to be done in a way that the business of those marinas was not harmed. So it was always, we were always made aware of the fact that we were part of this community and we were not to become the dominant part of the community. So we have, you know, how that plays today, I don't know. What we would be doing now, how would that play with the other marinas? Would that put them out of business? You know, all of that becomes a factor in this decision.
well, you look at, you know, if you just kind of go around and see what's there, you know, the Riverside is totally private. That's just his group of charter boats. I don't know what's going on at the motel. They've got a couple docks, but I wouldn't take it serious. Jeff Payne's is totally private, pretty much all sailboats, almost exclusively sailboats. I think there might be one pontoon boat. What's Joslin's? Is that Johnson's now? What's the one on Johnson? Yeah, so Johnson's, as best I can tell, is 100% seasonal. I've never seen a transient dock there. Obviously the slips in front of the condos are private. Harbor Village is private. I don't know how much Pier 33 has going on. I know they're really pushing the combination campsite boat slip, so that's a little different niche. Sangs is Sangs. I mean, they're really probably the biggest competition, if there is any, because they have capacity for transients, but they also have, you know, they have the dominant, you know, amount of seasonals too. My comment would be on that, and that's a good point, because you are a municipality and you are not a, you know, it's not an equal field there when it comes to private enterprise. I think the competition for the seasonal docks would be more detrimental to the locals than the transients, because the transients is a variable, and
Right.
if you spend money to get transients here and that program works, then you should be the one that reap the benefits of that, because you've created that opportunity. Now, to go and advertise heavily a cheap seasonal dock, that might create some issues in the community. I mean, I think as long as you're at market rate, it's your purview to promote whatever you want. If you're not,
I'm guessing that conversation was centered around expanding the amount of seasonals and whether that was the right move, because the state doesn't want the municipal marinas to compete with the privates, but we're serving the transients, and
Right.
typically the privates aren't.
right. And, you know, and that's a problem you solve when you have it. You know, when you've got a waiting list, then that's, you deal with that. That's not our problem right now. You know, we've got to get to that.
Does the state not control our fees?
They do.
Then how do we get around that, like 2 days, 3rd day free?
I had the same question.
They didn't know.
So I guess I'll leave the ball in your court, and I'm happy to follow up. If you want to have another meeting prior to, you know, I know there is a meeting in August. I mean, I can come back for that if you want to have further discussion.
Well, I think we need, I think I need to get the rest of the information together, bring it back to this group, and maybe we need to have an additional meeting, so we're not all the way into August and making a decision with little time to implement it.
I would agree.
So,
Our purview is, we don't do anything. Do we do anything with the funding beyond recommendation to the council?
No,
Okay, so,
but I take your recommendation seriously.
right.
And I think that if there's additional money that needs to be seeded in it and we don't have it, then it would make a lot of, I mean, say the ARPA money or something, if we made a request to city council to fund a portion of this or something, that certainly would have more weight if the Harbor Commission was behind that.
And if we want to attach dollar amounts, I can be very detailed in my presentation too. I mean, I have to kind of keep it general right now because it's just conjecture until we know what we're working with.
Sure.
But if we had a dollar amount, I could bring a proposal that you would all, sign off on that would be appropriate to take to the city council, so they could put they could quantify the expense.
2 weeks from now is August 2nd already.
Don't say that.
2 weeks from now.
I know my buddy called, he's coming Labor Day. I'm like, yeah, I can't wait to see it. It's like, I can.
I'd like to make a motion that we hold a special meeting to discuss the marketing and the financials and propose maybe August 2nd.
That's,
That works for
that is, an election, so we're closed to,
Oh.
yeah, Tuesday, August 2nd is election day.
The election?
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
The building's closed, can we have it down at the Manistee or something?
Yeah.
Or any day that week. I don't think I'd wanna go further than that. Maybe even the week before.
Might be nice to have it at the marina.
I mean, at the arena, I'm down there too, if you wanted, and I would assume you would not want me at that meeting. You would want to make that decision amongst yourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be happy to do it next week if you,
When is our next scheduled meeting?
It is
19th of August, I believe.
16th August?
the 16th of August, yep.
what do you guys feel?
Anytime.
It wouldn't take much for me to get the information together, Katie and I. Do you wanna try to do
Yeah, I guess.
that then, maybe next week?
Yeah.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for me are absolutely booked, so the only date available would be the Tuesday, the 26th.
I don't have a schedule with me. I think that I'll try to make that work for me. Tuesday, the 26th?
Mm-hmm.
And where?
We could do it here then. Or would you like to do it at the marina?
Yeah, let's
Would
do
that be appropriate, Katie? Can we
I
do
think
it?
so, yeah.
That's fine. Are you talking above the marina or down the
Upper.
marina? Upper?
Lower.
I don't have enough chairs in the lower.
We'll have to arrange video for that.
Oh, well,
But
we
I
better
can-
do it here then.
I can I can try to work it out.
Let's just do it here.
Okay.
Make
Ed.
it, keep it simple for you.
At 1 o'clock?
1 o'clock?
Is that what?
So Jeff made the motion to schedule a special meeting on Tuesday, the 26th at 1 PM. Somebody have a second?
I will second it.
All in favor?
Hey,
Okay, well,
Does that meet all your posting requirements and stuff, Kelly?
I'll get it done today. Mhm.
Great.
all right, well, thank you all. I appreciate your
Thank you.
consideration. And
Thanks, Mark.
you.
we'll just put one foot in front of the next, and I'll look to hear from Jeff or Tom, and look to be back and I can be back at the August meeting or before, or however you want to do it. You know where I'm at, so I'll be there.
Great, thank you.
Thank you all. Take
Thank you.
thanks again.
I haven't been traveling around the area much this year. I find his comments about how busy the other ones are interesting.
Yeah.
That marinas in particular.
Well, I mean, I noticed that I thought the crowds at the Forest Festival were lighter than normal, and especially when I went through the parade. But I heard that about other communities too, so yeah, it's a little, if that was happening across the board, it would make more sense if all the other municipals are full and we're not, then.
Well, yeah. Ludington's, the proximity to of the municipal marina with the other marinas in Ludington, it's hard to tell where all those boats that were leaving in the morning that he's talking about were seasonal boats, or if they had come that night before and left. It's a little bit different here in Manistee where you're dealing with what we have, so. And, you know, without a lot of information about how the other marinas are in fact doing, if they do have a marketing program, if they're relying, as we are, basically on people that were there before and want to come back, and it's the same year after year, then the marketing thing makes a lot of sense, and regardless of what marina you're talking about. So anyway, I said I'd shut up. I lied.
I just know that I did not know Manistee exists. So living in Chicago, it was always Ludington or Pentwater or South Haven or Grand Haven.
Really?
Had no clue that Manistee. Now knowing that, like I'm not into big crowds, so this would be the perfect place to come. We went out sailing right after the house walk, even to advertise when the house walk happened the other day. You know, it's just, it's here, it's all available, but unless I saw a visual back then, I wouldn't have not known anything about it. So I think, unfortunately, it's gonna cost some money, but I think pictures are 1,000 words. I really do. And I don't know if you can, on your application, when you're going online to fill it out, if you could add, I'm horrible at surveys after you've been someplace, I usually just delete it, but if you had it on there, more information like, how did you find us, where, you know, have you been here before, maybe 3 questions in regards that could give us some targets on where these people are coming from. You know, if it is word of mouth, or if it is pictures, you know, or it's, I mean, knowing Manistee now, I would have made all my trips here, but I had no clue. No clue. It's like a diamond in the rough. No clue.
And we hear that a lot when people discover us. And that's why I personally think that the visuals are going to be really important, because
I do, yeah.
Because when people see the photos of what you didn't even know existed, probably makes you want to check it out.
And even with Century opening up again, is it Century?
Century, or the...
Yeah, I mean, to somehow tie that in,
Real
I mean,
words.
even if you aren't a boat owner, but maybe are considering it, I mean, just going to the eye doctor's today, he has the big boat on his, you know, on his ceiling, got me all pumped up and excited again. So, you know, it's just those little things that, I think Manistee has so much to offer, it's just, no one knows about it.
Yeah.
Which is kind of fine with me, but, you know, it's just one of those things that you're looking for harbors in Michigan, you know, you want to have the best photo right there that pops and smacks you in the face about Manistee, and then you just go from there. And again, the beauty, like we said, the lake is too crazy. You still could go under the bridge, which I did the bridge run in Chicago all the time when bringing your boat in and out of the boat yards. You can have your thrill of going through the 2 bridges. And people love that. People run, just like the big ships coming in, they'll run to see a, you know, sailboat go through there. So you've got that option, which a lot of the other places don't.
Okay, well, I'll get the data together for next Tuesday, and you guys think about it and see what we can do.
Sounds good. The patio.
Have the materials been, they haven't arrived yet, have they? We bought the bricks, the pavers, we're just waiting for them to be shipped. That's the update.
It'll fit into the summer schedule.
We'll make it happen, yeah. The biggest thing for me was the cost of the pavers was in last year's budget, so we made sure that we bought them and we're covered, so. But yeah, we'll get them installed.
On to other new business.
Just some updates, the Marina docks, we're still waiting on, we're waiting on everything. Everything is delayed. So we're waiting on some fenders, I think you ordered fenders, you're waiting on those too? Didn't have them yet? I haven't heard anything further on the harbor dredging. The South Breakwater, I'll be attending a pre-construction meeting tomorrow morning, and we'll find out exactly the time frame and what the impact will be on First Street Beach for that. We have not done anything further with the land sale or conversion between Fracano's and 9th Street. We're gonna wait and see what the grant results are for the North River Walk. I'm just looking at what we updated last month. The clean water recovery facility, everything is installed, everything is ready to go. We are having a full day test session next Thursday to replicate storm flows coming into that's part of the new treatment plant. And then we're probably a month away from transferring the entire city sewage flow through that new facility. So that'll help keep Manistee Lake clean. Anything that if you can give us an update on what's happening at the marina itself?
Nothing.
It's really quiet.
It's been quiet, like eerie quiet to me. So, yeah, I just don't know what's going on. Because it seems like there is movement at other ports, Ludington and Frankfurt. But I'm not familiar with, what we had last year or the year before. Back when you worked there, you were full and you were rafting boats off, you don't have that.
Yeah, usually
The 4th of July was busy, but it wasn't.
This time of July through Labor Day, we were always full.
Yeah, so
We had no reservations back then.
it's slow.
Okay.
Wish I had more to report, but there isn't anything. There isn't.
I see the information on boat launch. I don't really have any comment on that.
I haven't looked at it.
Yeah, it looks within the realm of weather, et cetera.
Looks like June was pretty good.
Just roughly adding up the first 3 months in my brain, it looks pretty close to where we were back in 2018.
Which is,
In July, we increased the seasonal
right.
from 45 to 50.
So you'll see that next month, yeah.
Yeah, next month.
Okay. Although I assume mostly seasonal. Okay. Sorry, I sort of got my head about it. Is there any new business? No public comment? Individual commissioners' comments? Oh, did we get anywhere with approaching the sport fishing people to try to bolster our commission membership? Recall that?
I do.
I think you were going to.
I didn't talk to anybody. How many are we still?
Two. I would think they would want to be represented here. Move them. You know, it would look really good in this video of Manistee, is that welcome to Manistee sign. Down on First Street, or off First Street. Not to badger you too much. You know what I'm speaking of?
Not really, no. I mean, was it up before?
We took it down before the construction.
I don't
Oh.
see one,
Yeah.
but I-
This is nice, nice touch.
Well, I appreciate the
Oh, not First
reminder.
Street to the beach?
It's on that grassy hillside as you come in on the south side.
Yeah, below the overlook. It says welcome to Manistee Harbor,
Yeah.
I believe. We'll get it reinstalled.
Super. Well, if there are no other comments, we'll see each other on the 26th, next Tuesday, here at 1 o'clock. And I move that we adjourn.
I'll second it.
Hey.